we have a very special episode of Getting Candid with Helen. We're calling Industry Conversations. Of course, the arts industry is diverse, it's big, and there's a lot of things that we talk about. For some people, when you talk creative, when you talk arts, they're just thinking music and maybe film, but there's a lot. There's content creators, and now we have social media, we have TV presenters on radio. There's so much that needs to be discussed, but what are we doing wrong for our industry to actually grow? What can we do differently? What can we do right? I have with me sitting in this room creatives from different sectors, and also on the panel I have sitting with me Mrs. Bridget Malumba, yes, who is the NAMA president, and also I have Mr. Adrian Chipindi, who is the NAMA NAC chairperson, and they'll be here. These people in the audience can ask anything, they can express anything that they feel they can talk about the industry, and I believe these people can answer. Or somebody from the audience they feel that feels they have an answer will go ahead and answer that. Good morning.
Morning. It's good to be here and
yeah,
with creatives.
These are your people.
Yes.
These are your people, and yes, they may have a couple of questions and a lot of things that they want to talk about. But before we get into it, just for the people that are watching, when we talk about NAMA, like what's NAMA? What's NAMA's role? What role does it play in the industry? Who do they represent?
All right, thank you so much. Helen, looking bright in that yellow.
Thank you.
NAMA is one of the affiliates of the National Arts Council. The National Arts Council is an overseer of arts in Zambia. So under it, there are about, is it 10?
It's 10
yes,
now. 10 now.
Yeah, 10 associations that are under the National Arts Council, and NAMA is one of them. So NAMA stands for the National Association of Media Arts, meaning anything media artistic but media related falls under NAMA. So to just mention a few, this is film, television, radio, now social media. There's so much that is going on. So artistic things that go on media, all the practitioners fall under NAMA. So when NAMA started, basically the focus was on television, film, and radio, because that was mainly it. Sometimes people get confused when you say television. We're not talking about news. We're talking films that are on TV. They're different. When you say film, I'm talking about cinema. Television is the soaps that you see, the Mpalis, the Zubas. That's television. We also have Fate on ZNBC and other programs or soaps that are on other TV stations. So those fall under NAMA. And then radio, we've got radio dramas, those that have followed ZNBC, Radio 1 for a long time. You know about the Sowelo, Fiabkaya, Chimbanzinzi, and all those. And any radio drama anywhere else. So the artists that practice or perform on these platforms are supposed to be members of NAMA. And furthermore, even TV stations, radio stations, because they host artistic, so they are associate members of NAMA. So we have production houses, we've got individual membership, production house membership, and then broadcasting house membership. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. National Arts Council.
Yeah, so thank you, Helen. National Arts Council is basically a government agency. It's a quasi-government agency, which means it's partly government and partly sort of public. In this case, stakeholder-driven. The National Council is made up of 10 affiliated associations. They are the ones that compose the National Council. So it's a joint venture of some kind, if we have to use business terms. So we have 10 associations, and then we have about 4 or 5 government ministries that form the National Arts Council. And this board is the one that now employs the secretariat where I work, and things like that. Our mandate, broadly speaking, is 3. Is to regulate the arts. I don't like that word, but it's a word because there's some form of regulation. In other civilizations, the function to regulate is away from, it's separate. In our case, we regulate, we develop and monitor and promote the arts. These 3 move together. So in terms of developing, we undertake interventions, capacity building, funding. I don't know when we last did, but funding and whatever we need to do. Then in promoting, we partner with people who have resources or interest to work in the arts. So for example, late last year we partnered with ZESCO. We're doing a program called Youth Action Against Vandalism. So that's a partnership, it's a promotion kind of arrangement. Then in regulating, we register arts organizations. So for any arts organization to exist in Zambia as an arts organization, we register them. So in registering, we get the powers, our power is delegated from the Societies Act. So we are able to register arts organizations. We license promoters. So if someone wants to be hosting artistic event, they want to be investing and using the arts for business, we license them. Then we also, I don't like this word also, we also clear foreign artists. So when an artist is coming to Zambia, they have to come to NACA.
What don't you like about that word?
Foreign, it's a strange word because
I think it's
maybe international artists could be better. Foreign, and some of these foreign artists, they are as close as someone from Malawi or Zimbabwe, and the law doesn't distinguish whether they're from China or they're from Malawi. It's foreign. But obviously, we can discuss more. There are some things we're trying to do to have that distinction. So those are the that's broad international council. So we are some sort of a bridge between the government and the creative sector and vice versa.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the creative industry, and maybe go first, is growing so much. We're seeing from music, film in Zambia is doing so well right now as well. Cinemas are getting full, and we're seeing content creators also coming up, and they're doing so much. But there's one thing that I feel like a lot of people, it's like work, and then they just get stuck somewhere. It's trying to go to break through beyond borders. Is there anything that National Arts Council or NAMA is doing to ensure that they make it easier for artists to break through the industry outside Zambia?
Okay, I can start in terms of our assessment of why there's this sort of glass ceiling above the sector. We felt there are two things when we were developing the national arts policy, which we launched early this year. We thought there are two things. Probably the first one, we felt it's the quality of the content, and secondly, the marketing. I think those are the two things which we think could help us sort of break the ceiling. In terms of quality, we believe we need to invest in quality of artistic products and services so that there's demand for them. And I'm proud to say there are a number of products that have been made, either from film or music or theater or different space that have actually broken this ceiling due to their sheer goodness. Because I think what we don't want is people to say we want something from Zambia like a favor. We want it to be something because they want it. And there are a few artists that have emerged that have actually produced content that is on demand, and I think that is very important. The second one is on the marketing side, and I think that is something that we need to articulate a bit more. In terms of quality, there are some things we're trying to do locally to just sort of help in terms of capacity building, training, even the National Arts Festival that we're hosting this week, the Ngoma Awards, the Creative Industries Business Summit. All those are things which are sort of trying to address the issue of quality. On the marketing, I think we need to sort of leverage a bit more digital technologies, and I think that's a very difficult conversation because right now we're in the process of a huge storm. I'm somehow happy Bflow is not yet here.
Why are you happy it's not yet here?
Because we've been going on and on about the need to monetize the digital content platforms, because I think that would be a key game changer in us pushing our content outside. So I think that is something that we are working. And there is now a task force which is trying to address that particular question. So yeah, so that's from our perspective.
Okay, so I would like to pose the same question to...
Can I just comment when it comes
sure,
to NAMA?
sure.
Yes, from us the story is a bit different. Our members, we've got members at different levels. We've got the startups, intermediary, and those that are actually producing very good quality. And I'm sure in the recent past you've seen a number of our people getting awards, actually beating even content creators in countries where there's population They've been at the game much longer. They have, you know, the buying power and stuff like that. So what is causing the ceiling for most of our producers is just funding. With the money, our producers can go as far because we're already at quality level, we are good. We have already, from Zambia, just even without funding, we've got films that are already on Netflix. We already are at the Cannes. Our movies are doing very well, even at the international festivals like the Cannes. We also, because of the quality that we have an Oscar committee in Zambia. The Oscars saw it fit that we should have an Oscar committee, a Zambian committee in Zambia that looks at our movies, and we look at the benchmarks that they've given us. So what the Oscar does is that when they want foreign content, is that first and foremost, it should have 75% local language. And the English part must have subtitles. And it must represent the country. They don't want cosmopolitan. So if we're going to take a Zambian film to the Oscar, so it must show the Zambian people our lifestyle. So we're already there. So for us, a few have already crossed the bridge. There's always a survival of the fittest. The strong ones have crossed with their own means. But we cannot just depend on their own means. Our filmmakers need support. And they need finances, and they've been crying for the commissioning fund, where they can be going to get a funding for them to be able to even do more. So at quality, I think we're already good. That is why you see that our cinemas, for the last 2-3 years, are full to capacity. A long time ago, the discussion was different. We would go and fill the cinemas ourselves, watch ourselves, and be happy that we had a premiere. But nowadays, we can see, you know, people, they want to come and see their celebrities. They want to come and, you know, first and foremost, the red carpet is just an event on its own. People would want to come and get photos with the cast and everything, with the celebrities. And when you go to the cinema, we no longer hire one cinema. We do fill up all the cinemas for one premiere. So for us, I think what is causing the ceiling is just funding.
I like that. I'll pose the same question to the audience. Do you have a contribution on this question, or do you want to? Cass, you look like you have something to say.
Ask the question again.
Okay, so the question was, we see a lot of people work hard, but like locally they'll make it, but just to break beyond the borders is always like a limit for our people. What's causing that? What are we doing wrong? What can we do right?
Yeah, I don't think...
Okay, just hold on. I need the microphone.
I don't think there's anything we're doing wrong, and we need to embrace where we are. That has been our biggest problem as Africans first, but as Zambians, we don't embrace where we are. Because also, again, our biggest challenge here, the more I look at issues of numbers, because also, again, as much as that's not a big player when it comes to creatives, it's a very important thing that needs to be mentioned. When you look at countries that are doing well on an international market, you look at the country numbers that they have. So, for example, in this case, we're going to use South Africa. We'll use Nigeria, for example. Nigeria has over, I think, 250... Yeah, over 200 million people. Now, that's the many people that are in the country as we speak, right? Which means that the many people that have traveled out of that country are more when you go to a different country. If you go to, a friend of mine was in Russia a couple of days ago, and he was telling me that when you go to Russia, Russians are very skeptical of any black person because of the narrative that Nigerians have set up in that country. That's how big these guys are. Now, you could speak of America and UK, but also when you go to a place as far as Russia, that's also an issue. So it means that when a song drops, they can easily be able to get the music out there. And when they go to a place, it's easy to say, oh, hey, guys, can you play Nigerian songs because there's 50 Nigerians in the club? You know, but it's not the same with Zambians. It's not like you're going to go to a UK club and you find 50 Zambians in the club, you know. So I feel like there's many aspects of this that we're not looking at, and we're giving our artists so much pressure to say, you're not blowing up, you're not doing this, when they've already blown up. What is blowing up? Or should I say, what are we going to say that is important for an artist to go international? And what is international? Because if you go to Malawi, then you've gone international. The nationals are two there. That's what makes something international. So we need to embrace where we are, is what I think, is what we're not doing so much as Zambians. It starts from us, the journalists. It starts from us, the people that set these tones and set this information. We need to say proudly Yomaps is performing in Malawi. That's a win for this particular country. And it's so much of a win that Yomaps' numbers, pre-Malawi, Zambia, kind of coming together, because maybe they haven't said it, but it's there. Them coming together, we're now getting 1 million views one day. It's not like people didn't use YouTube pre these 1 millions of Yomaps. No, it's because Malawi now looks at Zambians like, oh, hey, and there's more Malawians coming into this country. I don't want to speak a lot, but I just feel like we as a country should be more embracive of the small wins that we've got, because we're just 20 million. What can you do with 20 million?
Okay, anybody else?
Hello, I'm always honored to be in the presence of distinguished artists. I celebrate each and every one of you. We are privileged to be Zambians. It's an honor to be a Zambian in 2024. And yes, we are a small country, but we're growing. You know, I don't believe in self-prophecy, negative self-prophecy. I do agree with my brother that we are doing the best we can and that everything happens in time. So to answer the question, as a filmmaker, I'm a film and TV producer. Everybody's really trying their best to create content. I'm speaking now maybe from the film side of everything. Everyone is trying to do their best. There are certain structures and frameworks that we still don't have in place, but we have a lot of very talented, gifted, passionate people about film and TV. And we do have very few, maybe 1 or 2 from Pan-Africa distributor that has given us an opportunity, and I think we are slowly building onto that. If we go back 10 years and the quality of the films that we are producing now. So I think we will get into, we are already in Pan-Africa going towards a global market. In the years, we've been understanding our identity. You talked about the Oscars committee and how the film, if it's going to go for Oscars, has to represent the culture of the country. And I think we've been practicing. Everything will fall in place. We have the right people in place. We have the right skill sets. What I think sometimes is a hindrance is, as a producer, especially that my aspiration is to become a professional film and TV producer.
Aren't you professional already?
I'm building on it.
Yeah.
It's very easy to say I'm a professional and, you know, blow my own horn. But when I go out there, when I'm in Pan-Africa, when I go out into a global market, which by God's grace and favor, I had an opportunity to work across different parts of the world. I become a carpenter. But when I'm here, I'm a booger, the biggest one. I've also seen that out there, it's not about what you have done. They're very much interested in what paper do you hold. It's very important. I may have produced, I don't know how many hours of TV that I've produced on my TV shows. Yeah. But when you go out there, they want to see what PhD I hold, what degree I hold. So I think we also have to invest in training. We need that paper out there. It's more important. Yeah, so I think I just want to give us hope. I want to give hope that we can really, we already have everything we need, but it's time. Time, space, everything happens for good. Yeah, that's my little contribution to this.
Great, Vida. Okay, let's start with Vida, then we go to Showstar.
I think I'll start it off from saying I do agree that perhaps people in arts and entertainment are doing what they need to do. They're playing their part. It's to grow the numbers that's needed. Maybe where the lack is in systematic support and overall proper governance. Entertainment and art in this country is still viewed as just a social sector. It needs to be viewed as an economic sector. You know, film, why Nollywood is where it is, because it's viewed, film is viewed as an economic sector. So as long as entertainment and arts remains social, it will remain just that. So if we have systems and policies that allow for entertainers, that allow for creatives to make what they should be making, and I'm talking money, because you can't just be entertaining people and feed off numbers. Numbers will never give someone anything. Everybody is doing something, in as much as you're passionate about it. We're long past the point of, oh, we're doing this for the passion. Nobody can do something for just passion for a long time and stay passionate about it, because you need to make something, you need to feed off of it. You need to take care of your family off of what you're doing. So I strongly think the lack still remains in that we're not exactly governed in a way that we can make what we should be making out of the arts sector, entertainment sector. When we speak numbers, there's small countries that actually you see their entertainers make a lot of money out of just being an artist. Yeah. They're making what they should be making from their streams, local streams. They're making what they should be making from them just attending gigs. Now, we're in a country where sometimes you look at somebody charges for a gig, and people will just, why are you charging so much? But there's other countries with smaller numbers where you see their artists are living how they should be living. You go to Namibia, you see the celebrities, they leave the celebrity status. Yeah. It's not just a celebrity of numbers because I have 1 million followers. Yeah. Look, even my bank account needs to reflect that. So as long as the support is not creating a system that allows for arts and entertainment to be where it is, we'll remain struggling. The numbers will be there. People will be recognized on the street. But unfortunately, the pocket will not reflect that. I just wanted to add that.
I like what she said, and I'll bring it back. Oh, it was, you still want to?
Yes, I still want to.
Then we can go to him. Then I'll come back to Mr. Chifindi.
Okay, what is my mic?
Yes.
Okay. My contributions are going to the both of you, NAMA President and NAC President. I've been following the conversation, so some of my contributions will come from some things we talked about earlier on. First off, I'm going to go with what Vida said. Like, the most thing that will help us a lot in the country is if policies are put in place to cushion us and to make us look like we're just not like those guys who school dropouts and they don't have anything to do, now they're in the entertainment industry. We need to be looked at as people who can be partners in development or as an economic sector. That's one. I don't know where we can direct this to. I know there are no MPs here, but sometimes we sit with people that are important. NAC. If you can drive this conversation, like I'll tell you this, just in our clubs, just in some popular clubs, DJs would want to play maybe 75% of Zambian music. The manager will not allow that. They will tell you what to play. But if there's a policy somewhere that says, yes. So what happens is, what I'm saying goes with what Cass said earlier on. Guys would go out there and demand for certain music to be played. Visitors will come and be like, oh, I like this song. They'll Shazam it. That's the song they will take wherever they're going. And then music will be going out like that. But if we're just playing Amapiano, people will be Shazamming Amapiano, and we're just helping the South African industry, the Nigerian industry, and we're not helping ours. If there can be policies that can demand that we play a certain level of Zambian music on radio and on TV, it will go a long way. We have visitors in our clubs, in Livingstone, in Zambia, that come and go. They will help us to export. You know, they will help us to export. That was just a comment I wanted to pass. I have 3 questions. I don't know if I can ask them concurrently.
Yeah, you can write. You can ask.
Keep it's not your show. Keep quiet. The first question is about, you talked about how you regulate foreign artists or international artists. Yeah. There was a conversation that when international artists are being given a license to come and perform in Zambia, we should look at the headlining artists, local artists, to get paid at least half of what the international guys are getting paid. I would like to know how far that conversation went. Secondly, there's conversation about, we can see this where the Kenyan government or Nigerian government sits down with Meta. They say, guys, look, our young people need to be making money on social media. Because us, we will just look like we're just making noise if we're just talking. But if the government represented us through like NAC, or I don't know who can represent us, you represent us well and you'll be able to put us in a position where our content, when our content goes viral, we get paid. Even if we have to remit some sort of revenue to the government, we don't mind, as long as we're making money on social media. Yes. Well, I would like to know if there's anything happening in that aspect from the government side. Okay. Is our government...
You've been thinking about it, sorry.
Yeah, is there anything being done in that aspect to monetize our accounts? Like, it will mean revenue for a lot of youths. You even know that. Thirdly, I don't know if you're in a position to comment about Zamcops. I want to know, this question I'm asking on behalf of a lot of people. What is their mandate? What is their mandate? What's the criteria that KB is saying? Are they paying artists? Which artists do they pay? And like, at what point do they say, oh, Yomaps? Because I would say this on camera. Yomaps, one of, if not the biggest artist in Zambia for the last, I don't know how many years. I don't know if he has gotten any amount from Zamcops. Even a Tukwacha. I don't know if they pay artists and which artists they pay and what criteria do they use to say, in these 6 months we're paying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I don't know, like, which artist are they paying right now? Because even if he's not registered, somehow he must be making money. Has he been approached to say, Iwe, can you register and accumulate? And if those those artists are not collecting money, where is that money going? Is that money stashed somewhere or waiting for someone to register for them to be able to collect? Those are my 3 questions. The foreign artists, monetization, Zamcops.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
So maybe we hear him, then you can answer.
Yes.
You can go ahead.
Okay. I hope it doesn't add more questions. No, please do what you want.
It's an honor for me to be in the presence of all these people that I look up to in music and in film. You know, Mr. Yoweli here is actually somebody I consider as my mentor in film. Mm-hmm. You know? So I just want to go back to the question, like, what are we doing wrong? You know, I just want every one of us to think about this. My brother there talked about population, and it's something that I've actually been thinking about myself. But then I looked at Jamaica. Jamaica is a very small island. Zambia is way big. But when you look at their music is everywhere in the world. So, think about this. I realized that the reason why Jamaica's music is out there in the world is because they represent something themselves, their culture, you know? And this is something that I've seen is not happening in this country. So, I mean, it's not easy because Zambia is a cosmopolitan. It's a multicultural country. It's a westernized country, you know? You can't be out there and then somebody will say, this guy is from Zambia. A Kenyan would be recognized, the Congolese would be recognized, the Nigerian would be recognized. But Zambia, you won't be recognized. And it's not our fault. That's just how, you know, the country is. It's westernized. You know, our official language is English. Everything we do is close, you know, to the Western world. So, if we can find a culture that is of our own and take it out there, don't you think we'll break out? Yeah. One of the reasons why I like Mr. Yoweli is because all of his projects that I've seen represent the country. They represent the culture.
That's true.
You know, and in my in my line of art, that's something that I've always wanted to do, even in my music and even in the projects that I align myself with, are projects that I see that, oh, okay, this is typical to our nation and it's unique. You know, I've had international friends who would come and they would listen to typical Zambian music. And when I say typical, I mean this Zambian music that you can tell this is Zambian. It's not R&B, it's not hip hop, it's not Afrobeats. It's Zambian music. I don't know how to describe Zambian music, but when I hear it,
maybe Mumbai Chiwezi, Sakala Brothers,
Angela Nyerenda,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
I want to say Kalindula, but sometimes it's so the James Sakala, the Mumbayachi, you know, they're like, wow, this is Zambian music. Why is it not popular? You know, like why is it not out there? You know, and I used to say it's population. You know, that time, you know, because it's true. It's true. You have Zambian artists that go out there and they go to perform to Zambians that are living there, you know, because those people out there have not yet heard the music. Why? Because we are competing with the best of the best. When you do a hip hop song, how many hip hop artists out there who have done big hit songs? So, yeah, with big instruments, I mean with big technology and equipment. So why should people listen to you coming from a small country, you know? So even though we are trying, we need to try harder. We need more equipment, we need more power. We just need to do our best. The only thing we can do if we can't sell our culture, we need to do the best. We need to compete.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's just think about that.
All right. You said you wanted to?
Yeah, before you come to talk about policies and what government.
You're ready to comment on this.
All right. First and foremost, I'd like to appreciate our people here they are young, but for them to have this passion about their country, it makes me feel that we've got a future. Yeah. Because you find that it's this age group that wants to, not to offer solution, but they want to keep attacking institutions like the NAC, but I've seen the crop that you brought here. They are even saying we need to appreciate what we have, because it begins with gratitude. When you appreciate, then you'll be able to say, where can we, not where have gone wrong, but where can we repair? What can we do? Which comes to having an agenda as a nation. Before the NAC director comes in, what I've seen from countries that have the landscape like ours, have the economies more like ours, but then we may differ where maybe population, and we want to cling to population, like what my brother said. You know where the difference is? They have an agenda. It should not even matter about the numbers. Have an agenda. Starting from, even from household. But mostly it cannot be done from household now because we're already broken. But we can say, if we have a political will, to say, even the policies that director is going to talk about, we have got good policies. KB will agree with us. We were in this program where we're looking at the policies, the thematic areas that are in the arts policy and the film policy that director is going to come out. Yeah. But if we do not have an agenda, political will to say this year, let us look at training. Yoweli spoke about training. You cannot do everything once. You should say, can we make sure that the artists in Zambia, from each art form, can they be professionally trained? Can they be certified? Can they have papers? So that when they go out there, they're also going to say, I've got a degree in filmmaking. So that he can stand with his head high. He's got what it takes. It's only that little paper that is making him feel inferior. But he can do as big as anybody that is coming even from a bigger country. It is the agenda which you create. Forget about your numbers. I like the saying people said, am I adding when we name? There are people who as far as I'm concerned,
like paradise.
It is what you want. It is what you think. It's a mindset. If we say Zambian artists in the next 10 years must be able to have qualifications, they must have spaces where to go and perform so that big numbers can come in. Because sometimes even the charging is you've got a small hall. So I'm going to charge a small amount. How many people are going to come? How much are you going to make? But if you've got a bigger space, you can work with numbers. So you have as many people coming in and to do that. And then if you also, in terms of marketing, We have a lot of marketers that are qualified. Even through the ministry, we should have people that should go out there and market Zambians. This is not confirmed, but it's something that I heard. That the president in Tanzania, when on a trip, her entourage should consist of some artists. So when she's doing the country work, those artists are also going around, going to markets, connect, have linkages, collaborations, connections. Yes, because she's an artist herself. She's a film producer. Yes. And to her, art is very, very important. So if there's that deliberate agenda, you must agree to say, this is what we're going to do. You may have an idea, but if you don't action it, it will die like that. Every other day, we say, no, we are starting, no, our population, no, our friends are developing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, his mic.
I have a mic. Thank you so much for the comments. I think I agree with the reflections around the room that there's so much we're doing. And yeah, numbers and all those things. But I think one of the biggest hindrances, and I want to start off by addressing Mr. Showstar here, is this mindset challenge that we're dealing with. National Arts Council, yes, we've been around since 1994, but we've operated in the context where arts is not recognized as a business. And this is it's a very difficult conversation to have because we are dealing with mindset. We are dealing with a mindset where in the home, a mother, a father does not understand, does not believe that art is a business. And we are coming from this very, very difficult place. And for me, what is positive is the presence of role models in the sector that we can point to. That also is very helpful because I can now tell a parent, I can convince a parent to say, look, if you allow your child to explore their talent, they can be like this role model. So I think that's also is very important. And I think we need to also, within the context of marketing, we need to highlight these role models. We need to highlight these people are doing something that is positive. Mr. Yoweli, you suffer because you are here today, but he's employing a lot of people. Almost maybe 400, I don't know. Yeah, he's a hero. If a mine opens up a mine and is employing even 100 people, there's a big ceremony. So when we start celebrating these, I think this will be very important. At the government level, from our end, from the Ministry of Sport and Arts, from National Arts Council, we are changing the narrative. We don't want arts to be, we don't want to be beggars. We are not beggars, actually. We create value. Even for the National Arts Festival that we're having this week, we are telling the partners that we are generating value, and we are quantifying the value that we are generating. It's not that when NAPSA gives us money, it's a donation, it's money that is going to the drain. No, we're developing traction for them. I know, for example, that one of our partners, Indo, the moment they showed up, we did the check. I think they were talking about 300-400 new accounts opened. Just that very ceremony. That's the value we are creating. So I think we need to communicate this value a bit more. So from the policies, from these things we are doing, our position is arts is a business, and we don't want to go into begging things. And even when we engage artists, we don't want it to be on a charity case. I will say it here that on camera, following the words from Mr. Showstar, that as National Arts Council ourselves, we've committed ourselves never to hire an artist for free, to ask an artist to come and perform for free. That is something that we've told ourselves it will never happen. Because once, it's better I give you this one quarter, but it must be a transaction. It must be, so that's the general comment. Now, there are three questions that Mr. Showstar asked. I'll start with the easiest one, the ZAMCOPS one. It's easier because ZAMCOPS is a licensing, it's licensed to collect, it's a collecting society. So when you go into the Copyright Act, ZAMCOPS is not mentioned because it's not part of the Copyright Act. It's a society. It's a group of people, I think Wapolina and many others who were there those days, came together and formed a society to collect royalties on behalf of artists. And an artist is free to either take the money to their name to Zamcops or not. If I wanted, I can't go to Zamcops. I know a few prominent artists who are in Zambia, they're not members of Zamcops. They've been performing for almost 30 years. They're not members of Zamcops. They could be a member of another society somewhere and things like that. So we must understand this. And I think many people don't understand this. Zamcops just collect royalties if you ask them to collect. If you don't ask them, they will not collect. I will not talk the specific names like Mr. Mlenga, but I know that last time he wasn't even registered. He wasn't even registered with Zamcops. He wasn't even, and he was surprised he wasn't registered with Zamcops. So I think the conversation with Zamcops requires, it's something that I can throw back to the sector. The sector needs to sit down and reflect and see what can we do to collect more from the royalties. I've been involved in conversation in the last year or so where people have been proposing alternatives to Zamcops. I've heard of those. I think those are okay, they're interesting, but my personal position is that the Zamcops has so much experience and we need to tap into that experience. If you check the compliance level from Zamcops, I think last time, in terms of these radio stations, it was less than 5% compliance. And mostly, again, the conversation we had before we opened is that Zamcops is getting more cooperation from foreign companies than from local companies. So you find that, like our partners here, Pick and Pay, they'll pay Zamcops. But Pick and Pay will not normally play Zambian music. Yeah, they'll play music which speaks to their audience or something. So we need to move, push for more compliance within Zamcops. A lot of stones are thrown at Zamcops, but with 5% or 10% compliance level, it's very difficult. They're just a society. They're not even mentioned in the act. In Malawi, where these things are happening, it's a department. Zamcops is a department of government. Yeah, under some ministry, it's a department. It's got a law, it's strengthened. When they show up at a building, in Malawi, when you buy a car, you pay a blank copy levy. When you buy anything that plays music, there's that. So there's a lot of those things that are happening. So I think the sector should take interest in the conversation of royalties. I will not say it's not under the ministry. I mean, the fact that it's not under the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts is not relevant. It's under Ministry of, it's under PACRA, I think now. Zamcops under PACRA. So we need to take an interest as creatives in this particular conversation. It's even much more serious for filmmakers, for example. They don't even have a correction society. So the fact is, if you make your movie, you are just getting one revenue stream. You are not getting many others. So we need to, we need to have that. I've seen his foot in his hand. I was just on the Zamcops question. The other one. Yes. Please. Yes.
I might come in with a question or two as we go.
Yes.
Obviously, it's a known fact that whether certain names I'll move away from mentioning names, whether certain names are registered or not, they are influencing the playing of Zambian music right now.
Yeah.
So whether those people are registered with Zamcops or not, if Zamcops is collecting even 3%, because a lot of restaurants, hotels and whatnot, we see Zamcops everywhere. Whether we like it or not, certain people are influencing the playlist.
Yes, yeah.
And it means that, I know maybe the education in terms of us artists to actually follow Zamcops to go and register, maybe it's not as much and whatnot, but if they are collecting any amount, they have to stop being lazy, Zamcops.
Yeah, definitely.
If they're collecting any amount from people that are influencing the playlist right now, it's better they call or send people to say, we think you are influencing the playlist right now and you need to register.
And here are your numbers.
Here are your numbers and you need to register so that we can be doing this together. What that will now do, Mr. Chipindi, is that it's empowerment back into the artist. Into the artistry. If the people in the industry are making money from places like Zamcops, what will stop me if I make maybe $1 million US today, or this in the last 2 years, what will stop me from doing a collab with David or those people that will help grow my numbers and in turn bring a lot of revenue to Zambia? So they need to be serious, the Zamcops people. Maybe I don't know much, I'm speaking from an ignorant point of view, but let them be serious. Let them make it easy. Let them make it easy for artists to register. Like you said, you can throw it back to us. But let them do some sort of sensitization and let them be engaging.
So now, very quickly, before the two gentlemen come in, before they come in, one, Zamcops is not here.
Yeah.
So maybe we should invite them. And
that's why I said if you were able to comment on Zamcops.
Hold on. Zamcop is not here. We should be able to invite them to come through. What I'm explaining is my perspective of the challenge. So if you remember, those of you who are musicians before 2010, when you do a song, you actually had to go and have it registered before it is protected. You remember? Yes, you don't need to do that anymore. The moment it's created, we revised the Copyright Act in 2010. The moment you produce a song, it is covered. You don't need to go to the police and say, oh, this gentleman has gotten my song. That is in terms of copyright coverage. But in terms of royalty collection, you actually have to leave your house, go to Zamcops and hire them to collect royalties on your behalf. Yes. If that doesn't happen, they cannot collect for you.
They will collect royalties and not remit anything to you.
So I'm coming to that one. Let me address that one. So what we are doing in terms of our end to address that particular one, we've been engaging with the Ministry of Finance, and I think things are on advanced level, to introduce a blanket copy levy. Yeah, a blanket copy levy will allow us now to collect royalties from anyone and distribute it to creatives, no matter what they create. Yes, and that is what we are working with, because that will now put us in a position where we don't need to ask Mrs. Marumba to come to say, collect for me. Because here's the thing, I'll give you an example. Music is even straightforward, but think of visual artists. Visual artists, they paint, they make buildings very nice, but they don't collect royalties. You can't go in, if a company, for example, I'll give an example of one company that has a lot of artwork, Bayport. Bayport has a lot of beautiful artwork, if you've been to Bayport. But the artist was paid once, but Bayport should be collecting royalties and giving them to the artists. We are not collecting. When we introduce the blanket copy levy, we'll be collecting all these and we'll be able. So that's the conversation we are pushing. We feel that's a much more effective approach than where an artist must leave their home, go and register. Because you have to hire Zamcops. They can never collect you without you hiring. And they can never act on your behalf. We're on the same topic shortly. I've seen people are itching.
Yeah.
We need to start creating systems that provide universal coverage for these kinds of situations than where we need the artist to still act. I'll give an example of, as National Council was now the question of foreign artists. National Council, for example, at the moment, cannot tell a promoter how much to pay a local artist. We cannot do that.
You cannot
because
what?
We cannot tell a promoter how much to pay a local artist. Because that transaction is a business transaction. It's a transaction between the artist and the promoter.
But Mr. Schmidt, sorry to cut you short. Don't you think if you're deliberate about making policies that protect your own artists, the promoters will follow? Just like they know that they have to register with you before they start bringing these artists in.
Yes, I'm coming to that. So right now, in its current form, the Act only compels us to require a promoter to have local acts listed. So that one we do. It's very simple. So any promoter comes and says, I want to bring Kofi Olomide. We say, you want to bring Kofi Olomide? Show us the contracts for the local artists. So we have Bflow, we have this, all these are the artists, and they've met the requirement. We can change the law, which we're trying to do. I can share a bit more of that. But at the moment, the transaction between Mr. Wembia and the promoter is a private business transaction. It's a contract. Mr. Wembia has agreed to provide my service at this fee. And often we may not even be privy, because most of these contracts actually are confidential. They have a confidentiality clause. It's the only way we do it. So in our revising of these acts, you see a lot of changes as they announce the budget this year. There are these conversations. I'm now coming to the last question that he asked about foreign artists. We are coming to that conversation where we try to regulate that process. But as it is now, as the National Council Act starts now, today, this very second, what contract Mr. Chungu signs with what is a personal conversation. Yeah.
Okay, the last one you asked was all about monetizing. Yeah.
Okay, on monetizing, we have a task force that has been in place that is made up of different stakeholders that is trying to interrogate the options that we can take to sort of address the issue of monetization. The initial indications are that initially when we started the conversation in the task force, it was most restricted to people in the creative space and a bit of people maybe from ZICTA and many others. But it's from our preliminary engagements, we need to cast the need a bit wider. We need to have a conversation in social like ZRI. We need to have a conversation with different Bank of Zambia, these different players. And so the task force terms of reference have been expanded. It was established under the ministry, and they've been expanded. And hopefully, as we do the budget, these are some of the things that we'll see being announced that to sort of strengthen the, yeah.
Do you have anybody from the entertainment? That's very important.
People create content. I think we have. I don't know the.
Yeah, so
we have.
That is extremely important because
we have.
You get first-hand information. You know, it's like dealing with stuff that only a doctor can deal with, but you say, no, let's go see the bankers, when you can actually inquire from the doctor himself and tell you that's how the surgery can be performed. So I'm surprised I haven't been called yet. So
There are many creatives, but there is a task force that is looking into this. But I don't think monetization is something that can just happen by the government. Like many things the government does, ultimately a cabinet would not allow us to pass anything unless we've consulted. Even when we do the policy, we have to still consult the creatives. Because when we go to cabinet, they'll ask you, oh, you brought this proposal, okay. Show us the list of stakeholders that you consulted. You say, oh, no, I consulted this one. So they probably, there's that. So there are two things. There's one, someone in the group specifically, but also there should be some wider consultations.
Okay. Bflow, your question?
Okay, so mine is not a question. I think I want to start by offering maybe a point of correction towards Mr. Chipindi regarding the jurisdiction and the mandate of ZAMCOPS. So ZAMCOPS does collect royalties on behalf of non-members.
Yes.
And I'm saying that as someone who has served as ZAMCOPS brand ambassador, and also as someone who has helped a family of someone who wasn't registered with ZAMCOPS but were able to collect royalties. And so what they do, according to what they explain, is that they deduct about 30% from artists that are non-members. So I've seen this with Afunika, I've seen this with the late PJ, I've seen this with many other artists. I even had a conversation with Kandeke recently, I think about Yomaps in the same line. So they do collect on behalf of non-members. So for me, I think the issue is not really about their mandate. The issue is about capacity as well as lack of information. Because if ZAMCOPS goes out there and collects money on behalf of Yomaps simply because Yomaps is very popular and people know that, oh, there's this artist, And then there's another artist called Rooster, who to Zamcops might not be as popular, but is very popular among his fan base and the social media community and people that stream his music. And Zamcops does not collect his royalties because even if they can, and then they can deduct the 30% since he's a non-member, but they're not doing it because, according to them, he does not exist because he's not in their system. So on that front, I believe that there's lack of information. And I believe there's lack of information everywhere in the sector. And for me, that's the biggest problem that we have. If we are to address the Ministry of Arts, Mr. Chipindi just mentioned the issue of the task force, for example. The question that KB has is the question I was going to pose as well, to say, what criteria was used to pick the people that are in that task force? Have they ever been monetized before? Because right here in Zambia, I know people who are monetized. I know people who've been monetized for a very long time. Have you taken time to ask them questions about what criteria they used, how they were able to do it, and what steps they were able to follow? It makes me sad to go on social media and I see the Zambian ambassador to the US saying, I cannot go to YouTube offices, I cannot visit Meta offices, I cannot go to Facebook because I do not have information about this monetization issue. And this is our ambassador in the country that hosts these platforms. I'm glad he announced that, oh yeah, there's a task force, so we're talking to the Ministry of Arts, and there's a task force that has been put together, and some names were even mentioned to say, oh, it's headed by this one and that one. Yeah. Which I find interesting myself, because then I ask myself to say, so are you involving people like, for example, Ebo Black, who's got a lot of information about streaming, about digital platforms? Are you involving people like KB? Are you involving people like Ndinema, who's been monetized before? So for me, I think these are some of the issues that we have. It's really lack of information, and I believe that what we need right now is a whole system overhaul. Not necessarily that we're trying to get rid of people that are in the system, but we need to empower the people in the system with information that sometimes should come from the people that actually feel it. The artists for far too long have been doing their own research. Look at artists like Roberto. He's come a very long way. From as far back as 2009, he already knew about YouTube monetization. He already had a YouTube channel at a time when many other Zambians did not even see the need because YouTube wasn't as popular. How involved are such artists in these processes? So I think for me, what we need now is to embrace people that actually have information. People like J-Rocks have been doing research on their own, but I don't see them playing a part in the work that the ministry is doing, in the work that NAC is doing. Maybe in the background there's something that they're doing together, but I don't see this kind of involvement. So when I look at an artist like T-Boy, and he's all the way in the US, and he says, I would like to get nominated for the Ngoma Awards, and then he starts complaining to say, oh no, they don't have an online platform where an artist who's based outside Zambia can actually register. And so I feel like we are reactive than proactive. So I think we just need to embrace new ideas, embrace the technological changes that are happening, and go the digital way, because this problem, I see it at NAC, I see it at Zamcops, I see it at the Ministry of Arts, and I see it even with the other cooperating partners like Ministry of Commerce, PACRA. I don't know whether we need an INDA where we can just sit down one day, but when you're calling people to these meetings, please call people that are informed so that they can come and share and offload the information that they have. I hope I don't offend anyone. I know Mwachiranda, sometimes you feel like some of these people attack the ministry or attack NAC. Sometimes it's not attacking, it's just wondering to say, why can't we work together? Why can't we share information and compare notes? Thank you.
So before no, it's very important that I speak to Mr. Wembe, because I mentioned him before he came. I mentioned you seen the recording or something. I mentioned the name. We don't feel attacked, not at all, not at all.
I was just protecting myself initially.
No. No, it's not attacking, it's not, I can speak even for Nama, that we are public people, we want to engage. I'll tell you something. As an arts administrator, one of the biggest things, one of the biggest challenges we have is how do you consult? Yes, how do we put a post on Facebook? Do you write a memo? So how do we involve everyone? I think that's the biggest challenge. And I speak this, I'm sure, not just for NAC, even for various government entities. You know, when we were doing the national arts policy, we consulted over 2,000 artists across the country. And after we launched, someone showed up and said, no, me, I wasn't consulted. And I can't argue with them. I can't argue. I said, oh, sorry. I don't know how you missed the coordinates or something. So I hear you, Bflow, when you say that we need to involve more people. And it's a challenge. The challenge is something that we need to work with. We are very open to involve as many people as possible, because at the end of the day, issues of monetization for us as National Arts Council, and I'm sure for the ministry, it's a case we want to build, because we want to build a case. We are saying, look, the arts are not supported enough. And when we ask, for example, Mrs. Manumba was talking in the National Film Fund, we have a policy now that allows us to set up the National Film Fund. But when we go to the Ministry of Finance, we say, okay, Adrian, once you set up the film fund, where is the money coming from? Now, I need to have numbers from monetization. I need to have numbers from ZR. I need to have numbers from streams. So, boss, the money is coming from here. This is our contribution. So I think for us, the case of monetization, yes, it will bring benefits to the artists. It's very important. But for us, our strategic importance of that is that it will demonstrate our contribution to the economy. Right now, most of the creatives are operating in the informal space. They are getting money from car parks. You shake hands, you get paid, I don't know, mobile money or something like that. If we're able to formalize those processes, if we're able to demonstrate, because you see, when you say arts is not taken seriously, we need to demonstrate what we are doing. And I don't think we're not doing it. I think we're employing people, we're paying taxes, we are contributing to the economy. We just need to quantify this contribution and put it on the table. And we can't do it as NAC or as NAMA. We need your voices. We need the voices of the creatives to do that. So yes, in terms of the task force, we are open to have more members to strengthen it.
So who are the current members? Tell us.
You know that I'm a government official. I've been around for many years. I cannot shout people's names on TV like that.
No, but maybe your Mr. Chipin, you mentioned that one of your biggest challenges is how to know some of these people.
Yes.
I'll start with that.
Not to know, how to bring them.
How to bring them close, yes. One thing I know for sure is that if I, the elderly person in my family, start by making a beautiful place for my young ones, they too will do it for the other ones. The small, maybe, conversation that is never really mentioned in front of NAC is the fact that we don't see its power to protect an artist in times of trouble, for example. We don't see its act of power when it comes to an artist saying, how do I perform at a showgrounds? Because also, I think this is something that is mentioned time and time again. Promoters will tell a Bflow, for example, we have a 10,000 on the table. Bflow will try to negotiate. They'll tell him, man, no, we'll get KB. And then KB also will say, okay, fine, I'll take it. Because also maybe KB is going through a certain okay, no, you're not. For this particular. Yeah. So, but then the protection has to be, if we approach Bflow, and Bflow says, I'm going to take a 10, and maybe they tell him, okay, we'll confirm with you on a certain day, and they don't, and the next thing he sees a show going on without anybody, can he call NAC and say, hey, this is what happened to me, and then he's protected? So I feel like there's small tactical things that NAC would have to visually do to make sure that people can say, oh, wait, NAC is actually a space that we can trust. But also, that's one thing. The other thing that I wanted to mention is the way maybe these people are being picked to make sure that they're the ones that are heading certain things. For example, in the case of the things that you've mentioned, he mentioned Ebo Black, he mentioned himself, KB as well, maybe a Roberto, J-Max, and all these other guys, J-Rock, sorry. All these are people that we all know that they do some of these things. I feel like it's also important that NAC should take a step further in finding out who's very computer savvy inside NAC and say, hey guys, can we pick people not based off of degrees? Because I know you're an organization and developed countries are running away from using degrees now. They're even using prisoners to make sure that they catch other prisoners. So if an FBI agent is being picked by virtue of, oh, he robbed the biggest bank. How did he do it? Then they hire that guy. Why can't NAC also take, some of these arts and say, we're going to hire this person and do that person?
So now, as Mrs. Marumba is coming in very quickly, mentions a very, very important point. The National Arts Council Act was enacted in 1994. Where were we in 1994? Personally, I was in grade 2 or grade 3 in 1994. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I was in grade 5.
Yes. So, yes. So now, one of the things we've been fighting for, years is the revision of the National Arts Council Act. So we were not able to do it. Now we have the policy. And this is something that we want to do in the coming act. And one of the things we want to do in terms of the National Arts Council Act is to sort of introduce, under the national policy, introduce minimum working standards for artists. That we can do. Minimum working standards for artists.
And when you say artists, you mean across?
No, for me, when I say artist, I mean everyone who calls themselves an artist. Yeah. In fact, Helen, you bring a very important point. When we developed the national arts policy, one of the things which we really wanted to do was to sort of come up with some sort of definition of who an artist is. Because, because we felt there was no official government document that actually says who an artist is. And through the policy, we adopted a few definitions, one of them from UNESCO. These are important things because now we are now having a base. So when we pass the law to say these are the minimum working conditions for artists, we will now starting from somewhere. Now, I want to pass this to Mrs. Marumba because this is very important. A lot of us artists, we feel we don't want to belong to associations. Yes, we don't want to belong to associations. ZAM, no, I don't want to belong to ZAM. NAMA, no, I don't want to belong to ZAMA. Me as National Arts Council, by the way, let me say this on camera also. I cannot go and talk to Yoweli before I talk to Mrs. Marumba. I can't. I can't call KB. Many times I've engaged KB or Mr. Wembia. I normally call the ZAM. ZAM, I want to talk to KB.
Massage?
Yes, Massage will tell me.
And by the way, he was invited.
Yes. Massage will tell me, Adrian, go ahead and talk to KB. So we need to build these systems. Yeah. If we talk of the national arts policy, talks of professionalizing the arts sector, make it a professional. It cannot be professional if we don't strengthen these systems. When you go to lawyers, any of these professions, even bus drivers now, they have a profession.
But sorry, I wanted to say that I think this is something that Showstar had mentioned about Zamcox being aggressive. When you talk about associations, for example, NAMA. NAMA, like, who knows what NAMA is and what it represents? Very few people. Just like I was telling her earlier, like, for people like me, that are not musicians, they're not actors, we're just like creators.
You are NAMA.
We're supposed to be NAMA, but how many of us actually know that you're supposed to be registered under NAMA and that's a body that is supposed to represent us? And for me,
as artists, sorry, Mom, I heard Showstar's question.
Let me just finish.
Where's the mic now?
As an artist,
let me just finish. For me, the issue is I may be lucky to get that because maybe I've been around for a long time, maybe I've been close to these people. But somebody who just starts producing content on social media, how many times has NAMA actually come out and say, this is what we represent? You see the social media is growing. Have you taken a step and say, how do we reach that audience and tell them that you belong to us? Because a lot of people just think NAMA is film.
Honestly, that's what I thought as well.
Yeah, maybe to
She's been my friend for a very long time.
yeah. Yeah. Maybe to break the ice a little bit, because that goes to NAC as well. I also feel, as much as we can hound these individuals and the people that are in charge of these things, as an artist, what does it mean for you to be an artist? You know, and I think that's something that every other, maybe person who decides to be an artist should take keen interest in. I've noticed that even with the Zamkops thing, it's been a very big challenge, because most artists, first and foremost, would, like, even on their own pages, even those that have received money, would never go on their own pages and say, guys, let's pay for Zam, despite knowing that they're receiving the money. And maybe it works for them, and so they keep it to themselves. But as an artist, it is your responsibility as well. As much as it is NAC, and if you're an actor, you should take keen interest to know. It's the same way you know how to, like the way you've known how to maybe ask questions. I don't think they taught all of you all those things in journalism class. They didn't. The rest of the things you went out there and found out. So as a complete artist, I feel like it's also partly your responsibility to say what else is required for me as a Zambian artist to thrive in the industry.
But you know what,
Okay,
I want to argue with you on that.
Okay, so you argue with him?
No,
Allow.
I wanted to answer this together, because the thing is, if I'm running a body, right, I'm excited to see new talent. I'm excited to see people come on board. And we have to agree that the biggest art that is heavily celebrated in this country is music. So we always hear about Zam. No, it's the most popular. Maybe I should say most popular form of art. So,
all arts are important, madam.
yeah, no, they are important, but I'm saying the most it's like when you talk sports, football is the most popular. So for me, if somebody comes on, how many of them actually know that there's an association that represents them? Because for musicians, we often hear about Zambia Association of Musicians, as this Zambia Association, and Fume, we hear Nama, and we've never heard Nama say, even just, have they ever even called for a workshop to say, if I see that these people are not registering, how come even Helen is not registered? Helen, why are you not registered? And educate us, what are the benefits if we come to you?
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much. Yes.
Do you have?
I have the mic. Okay.
Okay, so
I think before Kesta gets in. And I think this is what I've been mostly looking forward to having a conversation on, right? So first and foremost, for me, what's important is because I've heard him from NAC saying, you are attacking us, right? When a platform of this nature is created, I think let's come with a very open-minded mindset, because we are here for a specific cause. I would really, 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 feel fulfilled when we are out of this conversation that policies are set, systems, something should come out. I don't just, for me, when I was coming in this place, I was saying, what is it will I do in that space? So much so that 5 years from now, when I look back, so firstly, before I actually, allude to what Helen was talking about, and even Kesta, I think it came from Kesta. I think I want to, Showstar. I wanted to solidify that, Showstar, I'm sorry. I know I've known you for 10 years. I don't know why Kesta is on my mind. But I wanted to solidify that, let's have a mindset that we are here to create a solution from both ends, from NAMA, from NAC, and from artists here. What is it are we going to do collectively, even as we ask our questions, even as we convey our contribution towards this conversation? Are we really going to take charge and say 5 years from now, we will set an effective agenda from here, and we will see to it that this agenda is met, rather than saying, NAC, you haven't done this, or artists haven't done this. But then getting to Helen's point, this is what I was really itching to talk about. I really feel like NAC, NAMA, you are inaccessible make yourselves accessible to the public, to artists, to people that barely have the privilege to connect. I have the privilege to connect with Helen, and she might give me a little bit of knowledge about the procedures. How can I belong to a system? How can I belong to a community that then helps my art thrive? I represent art from an aspect of production, which is TV shows, production, managing producer. I have a podcast on YouTube. But then you spoke about things like having platforms with is it Netflix and the Oscars? I don't know about that. So I will tap into what you said, intentionality, right? Can we move out of this place and say, we are going to be a little more intentional? As NAMA, let's have a workshop once a year. It should be your responsibility. Reach out. Pick a couple of influential people in the industry, from the music aspect, from producer aspect, from content creation aspect, from editor aspect. Pick about 100 people to represent, or 50 or 10, depending on the manageability of that task, and let them push outward. We will have a conference or a workshop in January. So you register, yeri, and let's come in this space, and let that be a system. Let's create a community, and let that community have systems that govern the art and protect us, so that from there, what you spoke about, us having agendas, can only be achieved if we create a system. And that system can only be achieved if we are meeting collectively. So for me, really, it is my plea to see that we create these systems, and these systems have accountability. You are accountable, I am accountable, and then we invoke an agenda for us to be able to achieve one thing a year, and then we move to the next thing. And then also for me, I mean, I've been privileged, mentored by Yoweli himself, but then if Yoweli didn't teach me, what would be of me? So,
Thank you so much. May I respond? All right. Thank you so much. I love those comments and feedback, which is very, very important. First, I must make a clarification. I did not say ANAC is being attacked. I'm saying in a space where people are taking also responsibility. You know, there's one thing saying, it's you, and there's also another thing saying, what can we do? I think the what can we do is more refreshing. Yeah. Yes, that is what I meant, actually. I didn't intend to say that to you. All right. We will take responsibility, but I want to make it very clear that the publicity or the information about where to belong or what to do in this space, I think it's a two-way thing. First and foremost, I'd like to put it on record that from the time we got into office, maybe Yoweli will attest to that, NAMA was not even as popular as it is now. I think we've made a few strides. We may not have made in much or enough for everybody to hear. But in our sector, people, they know about NAMA. But there are two things for people to belong. In Bemba that akakonkelelo. People know about NAMA. But the question that always comes at, okay, when I pay and then what? You understand? Because it's a yearly subscription. So what we've done is that we try to make things more admirable for people to come. So it's okay, fine, if you have issues that need support from government, it can only go through NAMA. And that came to be strengthened recently, this year, when the ministry stepped in, and we've seen our numbers increase. So what the ministry did was that KB cannot go straight. He can speak to the PS. They can greet, they can talk, they can have anywhere. But if he has something official, when he goes to see the PS will not attend to him. He said, go through your association. And we've seen the numbers increase. So there's that deliberate. There's that, you know, sort of agenda to make sure that people belong. And we've seen people come and ask, even when we were at this business summit, somebody said, I do food, where do I belong? Now that they heard that you need to belong to an association for you to get government support. So that is one way. The other way which we have been doing as NAMA is that we're trying to create a database. And this database, we're starting from the production houses. We went to Pali, we went to Zuba to say, give us the people, extras, full-time, that are the 400. Give them to us. And how many of these are members of NAMA? So those, when they know, when they want an extra, oh, I want to feature in this film, are you a member of NAMA? You cannot feature. So, and those are the systems that we are putting in place, so to make sure people begin to belong. But it's not also just enough to get their money. Okay, they're members, and then what? So we have also appreciated the support of NAC and the ministry, the partnership with institutions like ZESCO, institutions like NAPSA. Now NAPSA, yes, National Guidance, the Department of Religious Affairs. So what they are saying now in terms of NAPSA, that if there was an MOU that the government signed. Let me get this opportunity to inform that the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts has signed an MOU with NAPSA that every artist must have a social security number. That is in the quest to improve our welfare. You remember Kakonkela Kuna Chanda? So when you belong to NAMA, what is it? So we're saying if you belong to NAMA, through NAMA, you can have a social security number. In the event of anything, even the people that you've just registered, your beneficiaries, my auntie Bafa, my sister Afa, you registered those people because you belonged to NAMA. NAMA is going to help you get some funeral cover. So as people, as we have the task to ask people to belong, we also have another task to say, what benefits are we giving our members? So we are working on the benefits, and the benefits must be more visible. Because even if I came to you, Mom, I've got a podcast, you make your own money. Whether you are my member or not, you're making your own money. But there must be a deliberate move through the ministry, which they're doing now, that we're not going to do with anybody unless they come through the associations. That at least is going to get the word out for us. We've been doing what we can, but we appreciate, indeed, we need to do more. And we believe that our members, when they see the benefits, they are the ones who should be able to go and take the message for us. You know, like I said, are you a member of NAMA? You should belong to NAMA. There's this and this and this and that. So we must create this and this and this and that, so people begin to come. So we've done, we're actually doing, but we appreciate we will actually do more.
Okay,
yes.
So...
A quick one, very important point that Madam Arumba has made, and I think, Madam, we feel we are accessible. Now, accessibility is like communication. You can think you've communicated, but, and you can't say, I've communicated until the other person has confirmed that you have actually communicated. So we are very accessible. As NAC, we are very open. NAMA, the government is very, very open. If you showed up at the government and say, I'm an artist, we are very excited. I personally am very excited when I meet new artists, new creatives, because that gives you new possibilities. But I think we should do more. We should do more. But very important from this conversation, Helen, is that creatives should render their voices to institutions like NAMA and NAC. That is very important. They should render their influence to our voices. Because you see, an artist like Mr. Wembia, when he says something, people will listen. He must use that voice, not just for other issues that he has, but also to strengthen these institutions. So I think as artists, sometimes we advocate for a lot of things, but we don't advocate for our own things. Yeah, we don't want to push for our own thing. And I feel as creatives, this is to you now. Use your voice to strengthen us. I use this example. It's not a very good one, but I feel it's very practical. National Arts Council and NAMA, without the creatives, we're just a chicken without feathers. You can't buy a chicken without feathers. If I showed up at your house with a chicken without feathers, you'll be very suspicious. You, the creatives, you are the feathers. You are the ones that give us the color. You are the ones, if I showed up at State House, and this has happened before, I've showed up at State House, I'm alone, like, who is this man now? What is he doing here? But if I showed up with the artist, they say, no, come in. Let's go back to that. So it's our partnership. Madam, it's a partnership, working together. That's what will strengthen NAC. That's what will strengthen NAMA. That's what will strengthen all these structures that we have. And as artists, we are able to. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll take maybe two last comments, and then your comments, then we can close. Yeah, clearly we need more time, but yeah. Workshop. Yeah, you can go. Yeah. So you speak, then it goes to Bflow.
Yeah, can be behave yourself. I need to ask. Yeah, that's my new name. Okay, so in the interest of time. Are you not used to my head by now? I like to think that associations like, not just associations, but NAC, I like to think that you people are very accessible. I think I can call you anytime to come for these events. I think you always show up. If I want a meeting, I think your offices are always open. So it's just in a space where people... Yeah. Yeah, it's just in a space where people just need to know how to get through to you. Maybe from where you stand, you think you're accessible, and I think that you're accessible, but you need to tell more people that, oh, we're here, and you can come to us like this. Yeah. Also, another task that I would like to share with you as NAC is that you need to put the association, NAMA and ZAM, because before I came here, I thought I belonged to ZAM or things like that. But now, I'm not knowing that I'm under. Yeah, but now I'm knowing that I'm under NAMA. So I like you to throw this task to these people. When I say these people, I just don't mean madam, but like all the associations. They need to come out here and say, look, we are an association, and if you subscribed, this is what we can do for you. I've been forced on some occasions to go and renew my subscription with ZAM because I needed to make an application somewhere, and there was a list that you need to do ZAM. But after that, I don't know anything else because I needed to throw in an application somewhere else. I've not seen ZAM do anything else related to anything to do with me or what I do. When I'm telling massage, I wish she came. Yeah. I'm an Ishusha massage, but after an Ishusha, it goes to do the same things I was telling you.
You guys talk a lot.
You know what I mean? I go Shusha, then it goes to do the same things. I was like, I was telling you to do this. Because in their defense, look, let me tell you, in their defense, even Madam will tell you, in their defense, it looks like people know what they do and what they can do for us. One or two of us may know. A lot of us don't know. So if we can just put it out there somehow, I don't know, to say, hey, we are an association, and if you partner with us, this is what we can do for you. I think you will get more numbers.
Okay,
yeah.
Bflow. You can give it to Bflow.
Okay, thank you. I also want to appreciate the National Arts Council for their open door policy, rather. And if I'm to compare between NAC and ZAM, of course, NAC is bigger, and that's our mother body. I feel like NAC is actually more reliable than ZAM. But I also want to talk to my fellow artists. We also need to get serious. We can't keep pointing fingers at the people in these institutions when we're also not playing our part. This same mentality, the aspect that Showstar has pointed out, where we always knock on their doors when we need something. When someone needs a visa and they know that, oh, for you to apply for a visa, you actually need a letter from whether it's NAC or ZAM, that's the time that you want to rush. And I've found myself in many times trying to help out fellow artists by showing them where to go and the like. And then if they're not helped immediately, then they will say, we know, because you've caught them off guard and maybe they're busy doing other things. But I can attest to the fact that they are helpful and they've been helpful. By the way, thank you so much for the role that NAC also played in making sure that I cleared my microphones. I had a big issue with ZRA. Unfortunately, I ended up paying about 9,000 kwacha plus in taxes to just clear that. But NAC really was reliable and very helpful, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you so much. So my last question, this one is a question. About 7 years or close to 10 years ago, there was a group that came, I think they were representing the European Union, And I was one of the artists that they were consulting with, asking questions about trying to turn our industry into a creative economy, and what are some of the needs of the industry. And they said they were working in partnership with the National Arts Council. For me, it makes me sad that even to this day, we're still discussing the same thing that Vida brought about, where she said, we are known as a social sector, not an economic contributor. How far have we gone in that regard? After that research, after those consultations, what exactly has been done? Any steps specifically? I understand there are issues of the national arts policy. How is it benefiting us? Where are we? At what stage are we?
I know. Sorry. Before Cass, this requires a response. Helen, there has been recently, actually, there's been a lot of goodwill. I think this must be put on record. The fact that we have a minister, and now I know I sound like a politician, but I'm not a politician, I'm a simple arts administrator. Yes. We have a minister who supports our work. We have two permanent secretaries who are artists. We have a department now at the ministry dedicated for our work. There are officers in government who go to a ministry every morning. They are doing the work relating to artists. We've seen a huge difference. When you talk of the national arts policies, I joined NAC in 2008. In 2009, started working on the national film policy. 2009, we tried nothing. We tried the 20 nothing. But in 2022, from the time PS Fumba came, within a year, we had the policy. Within a year, we are now talking about revising the act. As I'm speaking now, we've already generated the CAB memo to revise the National Arts Council Act. So there's been a lot of goodwill. There's been very goodwill in the right place. And I think this goodwill, we should ride this goodwill. We should ride this dragon that has come. And I fear sometimes, Madam Helen, I see you are anxious about time. Don't worry.
No,
I fear.
Finish this.
Yes, I fear sometimes that this goodwill window that we have may close. I fear. Even that's the support we've received from the National Arts Festival. We've received so much support from corporates. They're coming on board. Even as early as today, the event is happening. Corporates are calling. We want to jump on. I feel as creatives, once we miss this window, we may be lost forever.
Right. Make it quick, Cass, then we close.
Okay. So, Helen, Mr. Chipindi, I think in one of your conversations you mentioned about how you can find people. Here is a person who's brought all of us here. We asked that a person like her, you may even use her as an example. Fund her, with the little that you have, give her. Yeah, then all of us will want to push such narratives. Because the reason why others are being funded, we have a whole podcast that, kind of instigates a certain agenda, and it's being funded very well by a certain, organization. But this is something that has... No, I'm not going to do that. But this is something that has brought all of us here, and look at how many pointers and how many marketing tools that we've just laid upon. So this is another tool that you could use, because if positivity is being given enough money, if she can drive a Porsche out of sending out positivity, a lot more people will want to do that. So, you could use her. That's one of the things I want to say. But also, Helen, thank you very much for, giving us that call.
You're
because,
yeah.
So no, mine is not a question. Just to, I've just been on the listening end. Just to tell everybody that we're still friends. I think kumankala notion that I think sometimes there's usually that misconception. We're all friends in the industry. Even Mr. Chipindi knows. Anytime he calls me for anything, I'm always willing to give as much information as I can. This whole thing of thinking, no, we're dependent. We're not dependent. We've figured a way of surviving. And to be honest, in Gatafuna, we can keep that knowledge to ourselves. Yeah. So the most important thing is
1 minute.
Let's stay in communication. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if there's something that you can gain from me, call me. You know, I've got a lot of knowledge. There is a lot I can contribute. I promise you. There is a lot Bflow can go. I'm not going to tell you, but there is a lot you can get behind the scene. Even to Master Chair, it's just a facade. We were not fighting. You know, we are friends. Even Mr. Chipin will tell you, we've never had any issues. Look over Madam Bribri was a very good colleague. You know, so yeah. So like answer this quickly. So we're all friends. You know, let's communicate. If there's anything that is important that you think KB can be a part of, call me. Nizwa, there are some monies that haven't been paid.
I also actually just wanted to say that same thing you're saying, to say in the spirit of us keeping our friendships, which are very important, we should also be mindful of the fact that we also have families to feed. I think it's unfortunate that the ministry that is supposed to protect the arts actually happens to be a culprit when it comes to not paying artists on time. I like what Mr. Chipindi said, to say we have vowed that we are not using artists for free. That's a good start. But also pay artists on time, because, you know, there's inflation. By the time you're coming to pay someone 1 year later, the value of that money will never be the same. Yeah. So if the ministry that is supposed to be taking care of us is not paying us on time, how do you think the Ministry of Green Economy or the Ministry of Commerce will act towards the artists when they go and perform at another state function? So I know we are supposed to be friends, but friends should also be honest with each other. So I'm putting it out there that the Ministry of Arts should please pull up their socks when it comes to paying artists and be the example that artists deserve to be paid, and to be paid on time, and to be paid well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, you can close.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And as I am closing, I want to thank Helen, and I want to thank everybody that has come. But I want to say it here that, you know, you need to, like I said, it's a two-way thing. We need to support each other. And these institutions, apart from the NAC, which is also people that are employed by the board, the associations are not for Mrs. Malumba. They're not for Massage. They are your associations. I have a term of office. I'll need to go. But if you've seen and you've asked, because when you are doing something, it's also very important to find out what statutory requirements do I need to have? Because you're not going to say I've got a company, Tawaya Kupakra. You need to know that I have to pay PACRA, and in this day and age, you have to know that you must have a tip-in. You must, in a way, be able to do returns as an artist. So some of the things, yes, the ZRA will announce, but it also takes an individual. Some of you may know, others may not know. Those that know have taken keen interest. So let's also take keen interest in these institutions and what is happening. The National Arts Council has got a Facebook page, but how many of us visit that page? How many of us have even been to the festival or are planning to go to the festival? So if people at the festival don't see Bflow, the people that are just coming to watch, even the upcoming artists, they won't see the relevance. Because these big artists are not even participating in the things, the small things that the National Arts Council and the ministry are doing. And when it comes to our association as NAMA, we have production houses which are big, and we have asked them, can you kindly please make sure, because they know the advantages, did they register themselves? They know the advantages. They have to make sure that everybody that is coming on their set is sensitized that they have to belong to NAMA, because we send information. We've got WhatsApp pages. People want to go on those pages probably to just go and say, what about this? What about that? But if I want a better NAMA, if I want a better National Arts Council, I think it should start with me. If Director NAC is not doing anything, as a group we can say, I think Imanka is not the man for the job. Ministry help us get a man for the job. But if we are seated in silos and we're not coming together, we are here because Helen called us. So it takes two to tango. For us to do more in putting out the information for people to belong, and for you people also to begin to find out what is in the industry. Because we're exposed, we know what is happening in other countries. If we're not being monetized, where is the system? Where is the structure? Where do we need to improve? So it takes all of us to do this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very quickly. Thank you, Mrs. Malumba. Thank you so much, Helen. Thank you, everyone, Mrs. Malumba. Always a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for the comments and the questions. And I think I want to just end by this example. I don't think he knows. But the the way I started interacting much more with Bflow was that I was always looking for numbers for artists. Want this number? Want this number? Then someone said, no, the person who has all the numbers in this is Bflow. Yes, if you want any number on this thing, contact Bflow. And that's how we've been relating with Bflow, and that's how we are always learning. We're always learning. We're always learning. We're always open. And I'm very positive about the arts. I'm very, very positive. I think we're in a good place. We have examples to show. We have role models to show. We can demonstrate our impact. We can demonstrate our contribution. We just need to pull together a bit more. Please come to the festival. Please register for NAPSA. Please register for NAPSA. Helen, every creative, you should have NAPSA. That's how people take us to be serious. That's how people understand what we are doing. So thank you, everyone, and please keep coming, keep coming. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, and I just want to say thank you, everybody, for making time to come here. You too, I know you're supposed to be at the festival. Thank you for the contributions. We just hope we'll see results. Hopefully, we can all work, do our parts, and just make sure that we see results come from this conversation. This has been your girl, Helen, and also just say thank you to our sponsors for this episode, Pick n Pay Zambia. Thank you, your girl, Helen. Bye-bye.